The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of Windsor Castle as Charles stood in his private study, staring at a photograph on his desk. It showed 3 generations of royals at last year's Christmas gathering, himself, William, and little Prince George. But his eyes kept drifting to Kate, who stood beside William with that warm, genuine smile that had won over the British people. Charles had always admired his daughter-in-law from a distance. When William first brought Kate home years ago, Charles had been polite but reserved. After all, she wasn't from aristocratic blood, and the royal family had learned to be cautious about outsiders. But over the years, something had changed. Kate had proven herself in ways that surprised everyone, including Charles. The turning point came during a private family dinner 3 months ago. Charles had been discussing his environmental initiatives, feeling frustrated that few people truly understood his passion for organic farming and climate change. Most family members would nod politely and change the subject. But Kate had leaned forward, asking thoughtful questions about his Duchy Originals products and his vision for sustainable agriculture. "I've been reading about regenerative farming," she had said, her eyes bright with genuine interest. "The way you've transformed Highgrove's gardens is remarkable. Have you considered partnering with local schools to teach children about sustainable growing?" Charles had been stunned. Here was someone who not only listened but understood. Kate wasn't just being polite. She genuinely cared about the causes that meant everything to him. That evening marked the beginning of a new relationship between them. Now as king, Charles found himself seeking Kate's counsel more often. She had a unique perspective, having entered the royal family as an outsider but adapting with grace and intelligence. Unlike those born into royalty, Kate understood the real world in ways that Charles sometimes forgot. She could explain how ordinary families struggled with rising costs, how young mothers felt about childcare, how communities responded to royal visits. During their recent conversation about the upcoming Commonwealth tour, Kate had suggested visiting not just the usual diplomatic locations but also community centers and local schools. "People want to feel seen and heard," she had explained. "When we show genuine interest in their daily lives, it creates a connection that lasts long after we've left." Charles found himself nodding, taking notes. Kate's insights were reshaping how he approached his role as king. She had a natural ability to bridge the gap between the monarchy and the people, something he had struggled with for decades. Their growing partnership hadn't gone unnoticed. Palace staff whispered about the king's increased reliance on the Princess of Wales. Some called it smart politics. Kate was beloved by the public and media. Others wondered if Charles was finally recognizing what many had seen for years. Kate possessed the emotional intelligence and modern sensibility the monarchy desperately needed. But Charles's growing attention to Kate was creating ripples in other relationships. Camilla, who had stood by his side through decades of public scrutiny and private challenges, was beginning to notice the shift. She watched as Charles's eyes lit up when Kate entered a room, how he saved his most important conversations for moments when Kate was present. The change was subtle, but unmistakable. Charles had found in Kate not just a daughter-in-law, but a true partner in his vision for the monarchy's future. As he prepared for the challenges ahead, he knew that Kate's support and wisdom would be crucial to his success as king. The photograph on his desk seemed to tell the story. 3 generations connected by duty, but Charles and Kate were forging something deeper. They were building a bridge between the monarchy's traditional values and the modern world's expectations, creating a partnership that would define the royal family's future for generations to come. The first signs of change appeared during the monthly royal family strategy meetings. These gatherings, held in the ornate conference room at Buckingham Palace, had always followed the same pattern. Charles would outline his agenda. Senior royals would offer brief comments and decisions would be made with little real discussion. But everything shifted when Kate began speaking up with increasing confidence. During a recent meeting about mental health initiatives, she had presented a detailed proposal that left the room silent with surprise. Kate had spent weeks researching existing programs, consulting with experts, and developing a comprehensive plan to address youth mental health across the Commonwealth. "The statistics are alarming," Kate had said, standing before a presentation screen with charts and graphs she had personally prepared. 1 in 4 young people struggle with mental health issues, but current royal patronages only reach a fraction of those in need. I propose we create a unified approach that connects all our mental health work under one umbrella. Charles had watched in fascination as Kate outlined partnerships with universities, technology companies, and grassroots organizations. Her plan wasn't just ambitious, it was practical and achievable. She had done her homework in ways that impressed even the most seasoned palace advisors. This is exactly the kind of modern thinking the monarchy needs, Charles had said after the meeting, pulling Kate aside for a private conversation. Your research is thorough, your vision is clear, and your passion is evident. I want you to lead this initiative. Kate's face had glowed with pride and determination. Thank you for trusting me with this. I won't let you down. Their collaboration on the mental health project brought them together for countless hours of planning and discussion. Charles found himself looking forward to their meetings, energized by Kate's fresh perspective and unwavering dedication. She challenged his assumptions while respecting his experience, creating a dynamic that felt both comfortable and exciting. The project's success exceeded everyone's expectations. Within months, Kate had secured partnerships with major organizations, launched innovative programs, and generated positive media coverage that elevated the entire royal family's profile. The public responded enthusiastically to seeing a royal who understood their struggles and worked tirelessly to address them. Charles began including Kate in meetings that had previously been reserved for his most senior advisors. Her insights proved invaluable when discussing everything from diplomatic protocols to public engagement strategies. She had an intuitive understanding of public sentiment that complemented Charles's deep knowledge of constitutional matters. Their partnership extended beyond official duties. Charles found himself confiding in Kate about the pressures of kingship, the weight of tradition, and his hopes for modernizing the monarchy. Kate listened without judgment, offering perspective from someone who had successfully navigated the transition from commoner to royal. Sometimes I feel like I'm trying to balance on a tightrope, Charles had admitted during one of their private conversations in his Highgrove gardens. I want to honor the traditions that have sustained the monarchy for centuries, but I also know we must evolve to remain relevant. Kate had nodded thoughtfully. Change doesn't have to mean abandoning everything that came before. It can mean building bridges between the past and the future. You've already shown that through your environmental work and your support for interfaith dialogue. These conversations revealed depths to Kate that impressed Charles beyond measure. She wasn't just beautiful and charming, she was intelligent, thoughtful, and genuinely committed to making a difference. Her transformation from a shy young woman dating Prince William into a confident royal leader had been remarkable to witness. Palace staff began noting the obvious. Chemistry between the king and the Princess of Wales, not romantic chemistry, but the intellectual and emotional connection of two people who understood each other's vision and shared common goals. Their collaboration was producing results that benefited the entire monarchy. But success came with complications. As Charles increasingly turned to Kate for guidance and partnership, other family relationships began to strain. The shift in dynamics was subtle but unmistakable, setting the stage for challenges that no one could have anticipated. Camilla noticed the change during what should have been a routine evening at Clarence's house. Charles sat in his favorite armchair, but instead of reviewing state papers or discussing tomorrow's schedule with her, he was absorbed in reading a report Kate had prepared about digital engagement strategies for younger generations. This is brilliant, Charles murmured, making notes in the margins. Kate has identified exactly why we've been struggling to connect with people under 30. Her recommendations about using social media platforms could revolutionize how we communicate royal messages. Camilla looked up from her own reading, watching her husband's animated expression. She had seen that look before, years ago when Charles would excitedly share his latest environmental research or architectural discoveries. But lately, that enthusiasm seemed reserved for discussions about Kate's latest projects and insights. The shift had been gradual enough that Camilla initially dismissed her concerns. Charles was king now, with responsibilities that required him to work closely with all senior royals. Kate's growing prominence made sense given her popularity and William's position as heir. But the frequency and intensity of Charles's focus on Kate was becoming impossible to ignore. During their recent tour of Wales, Camilla had watched Charles and Kate work together with seamless coordination. They seemed to anticipate each other's thoughts, finishing conversations that had begun with just a glance. When Kate suggested an impromptu stop at a local farmer's market, Charles immediately agreed, despite the security complications. When Charles wanted to extend their time at a children's hospital, Kate smoothly handled the schedule adjustments with palace staff. Their natural partnership was evident to everyone present. Local officials commented on how well the King and Princess of Wales worked together. Media coverage focused on their obvious mutual respect and shared commitment to their duties. But for Camilla, watching from the sidelines, it felt like being slowly erased from a picture she had once been central to. The most painful moment came during a private dinner at Balmoral. Charles had invited several family members to discuss plans for the upcoming coronation anniversary celebration. Throughout the evening, he consistently turned to Kate for opinions on everything from guest lists to menu selections to entertainment choices. "Kate, what do you think about including more contemporary music alongside traditional pieces?" Charles had asked, leaning forward with genuine interest in her response. "I think that's perfect," Kate had replied thoughtfully. "It would show respect for tradition while acknowledging how the monarchy has evolved. Perhaps we could feature artists who represent different Commonwealth nations." Charles had beamed with approval. "Exactly what I was thinking. You understand the balance we're trying to achieve." Camilla had offered several suggestions throughout the dinner, but Charles's responses to her ideas were polite rather than enthusiastic. She felt like a guest at a planning session between two people who shared a vision she couldn't quite grasp. Later that evening, as Camilla prepared for bed, she found herself staring at her reflection in the mirror. She had fought so hard to earn her place beside Charles, enduring decades of public criticism and private doubt. She had supported him through his struggles as Prince of Wales, stood by him during his difficult relationship with the press, and helped him find confidence in his role as king. But now she wondered if her usefulness was coming to an end. Charles had found in Kate something Camilla couldn't provide, a partner who combined royal duty with modern sensibility, someone who could bridge the gap between the monarchy and contemporary society. Kate's youth, intelligence, and natural charisma made her an ideal collaborator for a king trying to modernize an ancient institution. Camilla understood that her feelings weren't entirely rational. Charles wasn't abandoning her, and his increased reliance on Kate served the monarchy's best interests. Kate had earned her position through years of dedicated service and genuine ability. But understanding the logic didn't diminish the emotional impact of watching her husband's attention and enthusiasm increasingly focus on another woman. The irony wasn't lost on Camilla. She had once been the other woman, the one who captured Charles's attention when he was married to someone else. Now she found herself in Diana's position, watching her husband develop a deep connection with a younger, more popular royal who seemed to understand him in ways she couldn't match. As she turned off the bedroom lights, Camilla made a decision that would change everything. She would not fight this transition or create conflict within the family. Instead, she would find a way to gracefully step back, allowing Charles and Kate's partnership to flourish while preserving her own dignity and the stability of the monarchy. The transformation in palace dynamics became undeniable during the preparation for Charles's first state visit as king. The trip to Australia and New Zealand would set the tone for his reign, and every detail required careful consideration. Charles had initially planned to work with his traditional team of advisors, but increasingly found himself seeking Kate's input on crucial decisions. "The schedule looks too formal," Kate had observed during a planning meeting, studying the proposed itinerary. "Australians and New Zealanders appreciate authenticity. What if we included more opportunities for spontaneous interactions? Maybe visits to local beaches, community gardens, or sporting events where you can meet people in relaxed settings?" Charles had nodded enthusiastically, making notes. "You're absolutely right. I want to show them that I understand their way of life, not just perform royal duties. Can you work with the advance team to revise the schedule?" These moments of collaboration were becoming the new normal. Charles would present challenges or decisions to Kate, and she would respond with insights that consistently impressed him. Her recommendations weren't just politically smart. They reflected a deep understanding of people and cultures that Charles found invaluable. Their intellectual partnership extended into personal conversations that revealed surprising depths to their relationship. During a quiet evening at Highgrove, as they reviewed briefing materials for the upcoming tour, Charles had opened up about his fears and hopes as king. Sometimes I wonder if I'm too old to really connect with younger generations, he had admitted, setting down a report about youth unemployment in Australia. Diana had that natural ability to make everyone feel special. I worry that I'm too formal, too traditional. Kate had looked at him with genuine compassion. You're not trying to be Diana, and you shouldn't be. You have your own strengths, your depth of knowledge, your commitment to causes you believe in, your genuine desire to make a difference. People respect authenticity more than perfection. Her words had touched something deep within Charles. Here was someone who saw his vulnerabilities without judgment, who understood the weight of his responsibilities while helping him find confidence in his abilities. Their conversation had continued late into the evening, covering everything from family dynamics to the future of the Commonwealth. Meanwhile, Camilla was making her own adjustments to this new reality. She began declining invitations to certain planning meetings, claiming schedule conflicts or other commitments. When palace staff asked for her input on decisions, she would often suggest they consult with Kate instead. The Princess of Wales has such fresh ideas, Camilla would say with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I think her perspective would be more valuable than mine. Her retreat was so gradual and graceful that many people didn't immediately notice. But Charles did. During a rare, quiet moment together, he had asked Camilla directly about her reduced involvement in palace planning. Are you feeling well? You seem less engaged with the preparations lately, he had said, genuine concern in his voice. Camilla had chosen her words carefully. I'm fine, darling. I just think Kate brings such energy and insight to these discussions. She understands the modern world in ways that complement your experience perfectly. I don't want to crowd that dynamic. Charles had studied his wife's face, recognizing the sacrifice she was making. Camilla, your support has been everything to me. I don't want you to feel sidelined. I don't feel sidelined, she had replied, though they both knew it wasn't entirely true. I feel proud of what you and Kate are building together. The monarchy needs this kind of partnership to thrive in the 21st century. Their conversation had been civil, even loving, but it marked a turning point. Both Charles and Camilla understood that their relationship was evolving, making space for his growing partnership with Kate, while trying to preserve what had always mattered between them. The upcoming state visit would be the first major test of this new dynamic. Charles and Kate would represent the monarchy together on the world stage, while Camilla remained in England, officially due to scheduling conflicts but really to allow their partnership to develop without complications. As departure day approached, Charles felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. He was embarking on more than just a diplomatic mission. He was stepping into a new phase of his reign, one where Kate's counsel and support would be crucial to his success. The question was whether this transformation would strengthen the monarchy or create fractures that would be difficult to repair. The success of the Australia and New Zealand tour exceeded everyone's expectations and confirmed what Charles had begun to suspect. His partnership with Kate was transforming not just his reign, but the entire perception of the modern monarchy. Their natural chemistry and shared vision created moments that became instant classics in royal history. The defining moment came during an unscheduled stop at a Sydney community centre. Charles had been touring a youth mentorship program when Kate noticed a group of Aboriginal children watching shyly from a corner. Without hesitation, she had walked over and knelt to their level, asking about their artwork displayed on nearby walls. These paintings tell stories, one little girl had explained, pointing to colorful depictions of traditional Dreamtime tales. Charles had followed Kate's lead, spending the next hour listening to stories and learning about Indigenous culture from the children's perspective. The spontaneous interaction, captured by media and shared worldwide, showed a monarchy that was genuinely curious about and respectful of local traditions. That was beautiful, Charles had told Kate later as they traveled to their next engagement. I would never have thought to approach those children. But you saw exactly what was needed. You helped me connect with something deeper than protocol. Kate had smiled, but her response revealed the depth of her understanding. They needed to feel seen and valued. When we show genuine interest in what matters to people, especially children, it creates trust that extends far beyond a single visit. Their collaboration during the tour produced a stream of such moments. Kate's suggestions led Charles to visit a surf life-saving club, where he tried his hand at paddleboarding, generating joyful images of a king willing to embrace new experiences. Her idea to attend a community barbecue, resulted in relaxed conversations with ordinary families who shared their hopes and concerns directly with their monarch. The media coverage was overwhelmingly positive, but more importantly, public opinion polls showed dramatic increases in support for the monarchy in both countries. Charles's approval ratings reached heights he had never achieved as Prince of Wales, and much of the credit was attributed to his obvious partnership with Kate. Back in England, Camilla watched the tour coverage with complex emotions. She felt genuine pride in Charles's success and happiness for the positive reception he was receiving. But each image of Charles and Kate working together, each quote about their perfect partnership, reinforced her growing sense of displacement. The most difficult moment came during a television interview where a reporter asked Charles about his working relationship with the Princess of Wales. His response had been immediate and enthusiastic. "Kate brings a perspective that is absolutely essential to the monarchy's future," he had said, his face lighting up with genuine admiration. "She understands both tradition and innovation, duty and humanity. Working with her has made me a better king." Camilla had turned off the television, needing time to process her feelings. Charles had never spoken about their partnership with such obvious enthusiasm, even during their happiest moments together. The contrast was painful to witness. When Charles and Kate returned to England, their success had created momentum for new initiatives and closer collaboration. Palace staff noted that the king's schedule increasingly included extended planning sessions with the Princess of Wales, while time allocated for discussions with the Queen Consort had quietly diminished. The shift was becoming institutionalized in ways that made Camilla's marginalization feel permanent rather than temporary. Kate was being briefed on matters that had previously been Camilla's domain. Staff members who had once reported to both the King and Queen Consort were now primarily working with Charles and Kate. During a private conversation with her closest confidant, Camilla had finally voiced her growing concerns. "I feel like I'm watching my marriage and my role disappear bit by bit. Charles isn't unkind, but his attention and energy are completely focused on his work with Kate. I understand why. They're accomplishing remarkable things together, but it's leaving me feeling invisible." Her friend had listened with sympathy before offering gentle advice. "Perhaps it's time to have an honest conversation with Charles about how this is affecting you. He may not realize the impact of these changes on your relationship." But Camilla knew that such a conversation would only create guilt and conflict without changing the fundamental reality. Charles had found in Kate the partner his monarchy needed, and fighting that truth would only damage everyone involved. Instead, Camilla began developing her own strategy for navigating this new landscape. She would need to find ways to remain relevant and valued, while accepting that her role in Charles's life was permanently changed. The question was whether such a transformation was possible without losing herself in the process. The moment of truth arrived during preparation for the most significant event of Charles's reign, his coronation anniversary celebration. This wasn't just a ceremonial occasion, but a statement about the monarchy's future direction, and every decision would be scrutinized by the world. Charles and Kate had been working together for weeks, developing a celebration that would honor tradition while embracing contemporary values. Their planning sessions had become legendary among palace staff for their energy and innovation. They would spend hours discussing everything from the symbolic meaning of different ceremonial elements to the practical logistics of accommodating diverse community groups. "I want this celebration to show that the monarchy belongs to everyone," Charles had explained during one of their late evening planning sessions. "Not just the aristocracy or traditional supporters, but young families, immigrant communities, people who have never felt connected to royal traditions." Kate had nodded thoughtfully, then pulled out a folder filled with research she had conducted independently. "I've been talking to community leaders across the country. Here are some ideas that could make the celebration truly inclusive while maintaining the dignity and significance you want." Her proposals were remarkable in their scope and sensitivity. She suggested incorporating musical traditions from Commonwealth nations, inviting representatives from charities supported by the royal family, and creating opportunities for ordinary people to participate in ways that felt meaningful rather than token. Charles had listened with growing amazement and admiration. Kate's vision perfectly captured what he hoped to achieve but had struggled to articulate. She understood his goals intuitively and had developed practical ways to implement them. "This is exactly right," he had said, reviewing her detailed plans. "You've found the balance. I've been searching for honoring our heritage while opening our arms to embrace everyone who calls Britain home." Their collaboration on the anniversary celebration cemented their partnership in ways that became visible to everyone around them. Palace staff noted that Charles seemed more energized and confident when working with Kate than at any other time. His natural enthusiasm for his causes was amplified by her fresh perspective and unwavering support. Meanwhile, Camilla was facing the reality that her exclusion from these central planning discussions was no longer subtle or temporary. When she asked about details of the celebration, she was politely referred to briefing documents prepared by Kate's office. When she offered suggestions, they were received with courtesy but little enthusiasm. The breaking point came during a family dinner at Windsor Castle. Charles had been excitedly describing Kate's latest innovations for the anniversary celebration, his face animated with the kind of joy Camilla remembered from their early years together. Kate suggested we include a segment honoring everyday heroes from local communities. Charles had explained to the gathered family members, people who have made extraordinary contributions to their neighborhoods but never received public recognition. It's precisely the kind of forward-thinking approach that will help people see the monarchy as relevant to their lives. William had beamed with pride at hearing his wife's work praised so enthusiastically by his father. Other family members had nodded approvingly, recognizing the political wisdom of Kate's suggestions. But Camilla had felt something break inside her as she watched Charles's obvious admiration for Kate. This wasn't just professional collaboration anymore. It was a deep emotional connection that excluded her completely. Charles had found in Kate not just a working partner, but someone who truly understood his vision and shared his passion for the monarchy's future. After dinner, Camilla had retreated to her private sitting room, needing time to process the full impact of what she had witnessed. Charles's relationship with Kate had evolved beyond anything she could compete with or reclaim. Kate wasn't just helping Charles be a better king, she was inspiring him to become the monarch he had always dreamed of being. The realization was both heartbreaking and liberating. Camilla finally understood that fighting this transformation would be futile and destructive. Charles and Kate's partnership was producing results that benefited not just them personally, but the entire institution of monarchy. Her role wasn't to compete with Kate, but to find a way to support what they were building together while preserving her own dignity and purpose. That evening, Camilla made a decision that would define the rest of her time as queen consort. She would not fight for Charles's attention, or try to reclaim her central role in his vision for the monarchy. Instead, she would gracefully step back, allowing Charles and Kate's partnership to flourish, while finding new ways to contribute that didn't require competing. With their obvious connection, the coronation anniversary would mark not just Charles' first year as king, but the beginning of a new chapter where Kate's influence would be openly acknowledged and Camilla's role would be quietly but permanently redefined. The coronation anniversary celebration became the defining moment that crystallized the new dynamics within the royal family. As thousands gathered in London and millions watched worldwide, the partnership between Charles and Kate was on full display. While Camilla's graceful retreat became a masterclass in dignity under pressure, the celebration exceeded every expectation. Kate's inclusive vision had transformed what could have been a traditional royal ceremony into a genuine celebration of modern Britain. Community choirs sang alongside classical musicians, local heroes shared the stage with dignitaries, and families from every background felt welcomed into what had historically been an exclusive royal event. Charles moved through the celebration with confidence and joy that surprised even his closest advisors. When he spoke about the monarchy's commitment to serving all people, his words carried conviction that reflected Kate's influence on his thinking. When he interacted with guests from diverse communities, his comfort and genuine interest showed how much he had learned from Kate's approach to public engagement. The moment that defined the day came during Charles's address to the nation. Standing before the assembled crowd, he had spoken about partnership and collaboration in ways that clearly referenced his working relationship with Kate without explicitly naming her. The monarchy's strength has always come from our ability to work together, To combine wisdom earned through experience with fresh perspectives that help us understand the changing world around us, he had said, his eyes briefly finding Kate in the crowd. When we open our hearts and minds to new ideas while honoring the values that have guided us for generations, we create something stronger than any individual could achieve alone. Kate had smiled from her position among the other royals, understanding the deeper meaning behind his words. Their partnership had become the foundation of Charles's approach to kingship, and this public acknowledgement felt like both recognition and promise for the future. But the most powerful moment of the day belonged to Camilla. During the reception, she had approached Kate privately, away from cameras and crowds, for a conversation that would be remembered by those who witnessed it as one of the most gracious acts in royal history. "You've helped Charles become the king he was meant to be," Camilla had said simply, her voice carrying no trace of bitterness or resentment. "Watching you work together has been remarkable. You bring out the best in him." Kate had been visibly moved by Camilla's words. "Your support has meant everything to both of us. I know this transition hasn't been easy, and your grace throughout has been inspiring." Camilla had smiled with genuine warmth. "The monarchy is bigger than any of our individual feelings. What you and Charles are building together will serve the country well for decades to come. I want to support that in whatever way I can." Their brief exchange had been witnessed by several palace staff members, who later described it as a moment of profound respect between two women who understood their roles in history. Camilla's decision to publicly support Charles and Kate's partnership, despite her personal sacrifices, demonstrated the kind of selfless service that defined the best traditions of royalty. In the months that followed the anniversary celebration, the new dynamic became the accepted reality of palace life. Charles and Kate continued their close collaboration on major initiatives, with their partnership producing innovations that strengthened the monarchy's relevance and popularity. Their joint appearances drew enthusiastic crowds, and their shared vision for a more inclusive, engaged royal family resonated with people across generations. Camilla found her own path within this new landscape, focusing on causes that were personally meaningful to her, while maintaining a supportive but less central role in Charles's reign. She developed deeper relationships with charitable organizations, particularly those supporting literacy and domestic violence survivors, where her work could make a genuine difference without competing with Charles and Kate's more visible initiatives. The transformation was complete but not without cost. Charles and Camilla's marriage remained intact but fundamentally changed, characterized more by mutual respect and shared duty than by the intimate partnership they had once enjoyed. Camilla's sacrifice was acknowledged privately by those closest to the royal family, who understood the magnitude of what she had given up for the greater good. As Charles looked toward the future of his reign, he knew that his partnership with Kate had become its defining characteristic. Together, they had created a vision of monarchy that honored tradition while embracing change, that served all people while maintaining royal dignity, that looked backward to constitutional principles while moving forward toward contemporary relevance. The story of Charles turning his attention to Kate, and Camilla's silent but graceful retreat, became a testament to the complex human dynamics that shape even the most public institutions. It was a story of ambition and sacrifice, of partnership and loss, of individuals making personal choices that would influence the monarchy for generations to come. Most importantly, it was a story of transformation, of how relationships evolve, priorities shift, and people find ways to serve something larger than themselves, even when it requires difficult personal compromises.